with these bans, I mean, we leave all 4 hard breachers up, we leave Flores up, we leave Mira and Cade.
Yeah, a lot of potential here to bring things out, especially on this defense, like you mentioned, Harrison. Seeing that Mira in play could get pretty complicated, and based on what we're seeing right now, Beastly is indicating that the Mira is going to come out in round number 1. Could always see a 6 pick there, and actually we will, bringing out the Tachanka instead. And that is something we have become a little bit more accustomed to seeing, especially on Aviator in games, this top floor bomb site on Villa, that when it comes down to it, is all about that plant denial. And yes, with the Mira, you've got a C4 in pocket, which has a ton of plant denial potential, but you bring the Tachanka, you've got that Shumika launcher, you've got 14 fire canisters to deny plant and waste a lot of time. I suspect that's what we're going to be seeing from Beastly in a little bit. But just talking about Beastly for a moment here, I want to take everyone back to, the last 5 maps we've seen from Arial. In the last 2 playoff games they've played, there has been one consistent element of this team when they've found success, and it has been Beastly doing his job to perfection, playing the hard support, doing it extremely well. He got, 7 plants in the first series against Nocturnes. 7 plants in that series. He has been on an absolute tear. And I don't mean getting frags left and right. I don't mean lighting up the scoreboard. I mean doing his job perfectly. From a hard support player like Beastly, that is all you can ask for. Being reintegrated into this roster, this stage, it could not have gone any better.
Oh! Slip, he's just gonna rush right through. I think the Jaeger may have thought that was a clone. He wasn't ready. Swalen on the other side. I don't even know where he killed Gomez. Wimpy will get a refrag for his team, and they don't see Beastly behind the corner. He lines up 2. Diaz tags on as well, covering his teammate. And the rush from one shot. I love the way they orchestrated it. Arial Arise, the main stairs hold was not ready, but the site players came through. Like you said, Beastly just chilling behind the bar, doing his job, anchoring with the help of his teammates, and it's a very fast first point for Arial.
Well, that came out of nowhere, and it was a very bold play for One Shot to kick things off in this series. Like you said, Harrison, and I will agree with you. I love the thought process there. I love that kind of energy they're bringing. I talked about Arial Arise having to make a statement. One Shot, well, it looks like they wanted to do the same thing, and unfortunately for them, they are going to come up a little bit short. At first, it looked like it was going quite well. I mean, they had the 2 opening picks on both of those, slightly extended players off the site, catching them both off guard. But when it came down to, shifting that pressure onto the objective, everyone on Arial, at that point, they were gun up, they were ready to go, and they were honestly just holding left click, knowing that there would be several one-shot attackers just flying around the next corner, and Beastly did his job to perfection again. Perfect timing. I mean, shouting him out, and then he comes out with the clutch play in those last few seconds, getting 2 vital kills and giving the win to his team.
Kind of like the opposite, right? We had Caster's Blessing there. Maybe we can keep that up. But
10 seconds left before insertion.
I mean, I'm sure that was probably a one-time thing from One Shot. A little bit of a throwaway round, like, hey, if we can nab it, great. Otherwise, we'll just move on. Because I was wondering, right? I was wondering, of all the operators to put your flank watch on, Dokkaebi? On Villa? That's kind of odd, but obviously, we saw what that was for. But Swalen will immediately hop off, go back to the more conventional Nomad. And One Shot will go for a more conventional clear. They'll start on the master side of things, and of course, try and go for a direct, open up the wall. You've got downstairs clears as well. Slippery with a pre-placed drone. They'll likely be the ones tasked with taking the Electro Claw off of the master wall to make way for Kilo. But there's someone standing in their way, and that's going to be Gomez, who has been on fire this entire playoff so far.
Yeah, Gomez and Diaz have been just on another level in the last few games, and I expect that to continue here on Villa. I don't know why it wouldn't. I mean, already we're seeing Diaz get those 2 kills in that previous round on that rush attempt, and I suspect we will see similar things from Gomez in just a few moments. Right now, he'll be tasked with holding down the astronomy stairs, a couple of ADSs to assist that position, and anyone who would hop on that rappel likely to get shut down, or at least be stalled out and unable to push in for a little while. But One Shot, their focus right now is actually pushing in from below. They want to take vertical control. They want to control kitchen and dining and pressure any defender willing to expose themselves to those angles. In fact, it is Slippery who exposes himself first, and Kento will take full advantage, getting the opening blow for the defense this time around, giving them a great foothold on this round to start.
And Kento, we saw earlier, was positioned in bike. He likely got a kill on the Slippery as Slippery was rotating around the downstairs. And Kento will actually get away all the way towards main, coming up towards the study side of things. I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes back to site to help his team and make it a 5v4. Finally, though, the wall will be open, so this downstairs clear, though it cost the body, still did its job. Got rid of the Electro Claw. The attackers have constant pings on this guy and Astro. They're going to try and nade him, but no. Storm's just off the mark a little bit. DS will persist, rocking the FMG-9, looking to take these gunfights in bathroom rather than just hold and delay. Storms is, of course, still going to be positioned downstairs. His job is not to help with the execute, it's to stop any potential C4 potential from below, and that's mainly going to be in the hands of Wimpy. He's the only one with it, as Malusi's C4 has been taken away, but it is the cage, so I don't suppose he'll be the one to do it. Although, never mind, Storms will separate from his position downstairs, try and make a play up Astro, get taken down by Gomez. That means it's a 3 versus 4 as Swaylin gets the trade, still trying to entry into Astro. Diaz has since, no, not left. He's just no longer behind the desk. He's by the luggage cases. He'll swing wide, catch the Nomad with a flash in his hand, and it's just Kilo and Quartz in a 2 versus 4. Quartz makes the play up Astro, relinking with his teammate, but the case needs to go down in the next 5 seconds or the round is lost. Quartz will find a double. Another player in sight goes down. It just means it's Kento in the 1v2. Impact, though, downs the planter. What a toss! And the save from the Malusi, and 2 points in a row go to Arial.
Oh man, that one got a little bit closer than I think Arial were hoping for. It looked like they had all but secured that round. It was a 4v2. The last 2 players on one shot didn't have the diffuser in hand, didn't have much of a foothold on the objective, and they just had to kind of just barrel on in there and cross their fingers. Well, that worked perfectly. They got all the kills they needed. Then it became a 2v1 in favor of the attack. All they had to do was get the bomb down, but a perfect toss with the impact grenade from Kento, denying the plant, downing the planter, and securing the round. Timer, of course, at 000, so there was nothing that the last one-shot attacker could do in any sense of the word. So a really valiant effort there from One Shot in the end of that round, but the reason it got a bit dicey is because it kind of got a little bit separated and a little bit disjointed towards the mid-round. We highlighted a couple of more interesting plays. Of course, the initial duel with Slippery, losing that one out to Kento, that one wasn't too unexpected, but the play from Storms, more of a solo push, trying to take down, I believe it was Gomez, holding down the astronomy stairs, a push from the bottom, trying to catch him off guard, a little bit of an element of surprise. But what that really did was isolate Storms from his team. No trade was allowed to be found. And at that point, it really was just One Shot trying to claw their way back in a very tough situation.
And they almost did it, too. Gotta give the credit to Quartz and Kilo for finding 3 kills in a row with no tradebacks in the 2v4. Just unlucky positioning, and Kilo being such low HP did them in. And now Arial Arise are going to be forced onto, I guess we could call it the offsite of dining. It's their tertiary. And we have a little bit of an extension. Horizontal, no reinforcements dedicated there, but they do have a shield, and that's where Wimpy will play. So normally when you see a horizontal extension like that, it's pretty, well defended, reinforcements, shields, ADSs, Wamidis, but they're just going to forego that. In fact, the attackers are going to forego the clear. They'll try and rush painting. They'll be successful as Kilo from over towards, I believe, Laundry gets a kill of his own, leaving it just Kento and Wimpy as all the site players fall. The Alibi needs to retake now alone against 4, and he will be unsuccessful. One-shot try for their second rush of the game, but this time it's successful.
Wow, another bold move from One Shot. Like you said, Harrison, this time it pays off. But I got to admit, this is not the map, not the style of map that I really expected coming into this afternoon. I mean, especially considering that we had talked so much about this being, One Shot's home territory. At least we assumed so. They don't look like a team that is comfortable on the map in its entirety. Now, clearly, they knew what they were doing on that rush attempt. The reason I say that is because you don't usually see a team rush all the time if they're comfortable doing, your default map strategies, and they're comfortable, going toe-to-toe with their opponents and just beating them at their own game. The one thing I really do love about that, though, is that we talked about, our analyst has mentioned, that Arial Arise you're not going to see any ridiculous, creative, out-of-the-box strategies. You are going to see them play Villa to perfection, and One Shot are trying to get around that by throwing these little wrinkles into the equation here, by throwing a wrench into the gears, and they're saying, you know what, Arial, if you're going to bring out a default strategy, if you're going to not focus on innovation, but simply playing the map the best way you know how, we are going to make you work hard for it. We want to really change it up, surprise you. And once again, bringing out the rush. This time it worked. Bringing out the Dokkaebi again here is Swaylin. Could we see this happen again?
I kind of hope not, because now that One Shot have done it, you know, they've tried and failed once, they've tried and succeeded another. You know, Arial will probably be ready for something like this, especially if the Dokkaebi phone call goes out. They'll likely tighten up and expect that rush. But no, One Shot aren't going to be going for it this round. I guess the Dokkaebi is just who they pick on this particular site. Why that is, I'm honestly not quite sure. I guess figuring that Arial haven't really been flanking a whole lot, so the Nomad is not needed, you might as well get the extra info you get with the Doke.
Wimpy getting aggressive here. Oh,
Ooh.
just actually deciding to not make that move at the last second. And honestly, a wise decision. Quartz, his drone spotted it at just the right moment, and it looked like he was going to be able to get off that drone in time and take care of Wimpy. But that one came a little bit closer than I think both of those players were hoping for. But after that initial skirmish has been avoided, One Shot will continue with their clear, working their way over from this north side. Slippery, of course, that primary entry, already working his way up into Trophy at this point. Soon, he'll be joined by Quartz, still outside that bore window, droning out his teammate, helping to figure out if they're dealing with any sort of forward defensive pressure in either 90 Hall or on the top of Red Stairs. And while there is someone in 90, Red Stairs, at least for now, remain clear. So One Shot shouldn't have to deal with that. In fact, Wimpy will be too busy focusing on the first floor, and he'll get completely caught off guard. Quartz will take advantage. C4 now up and away from Diaz. That's only going to be wasted here as Slippery avoids that, meaning that your plant denial from that C4 is now gone. You're going to have to rely on the smokes from Gomez and the Shumika launcher from Beastly. He's already going to whip out that fire. He's already going to use those grenades to stall out this push a little. And now that we're down with under 60 seconds, the fact that One Shot are already pressuring Arial Arise enough to encourage the time delay with that Shumika, that suggests pretty good things for this attack.
Although, Jonah, what you need to remember is it's 14 shots of about 5 seconds delay each, give or take. And, well, that's a lot. That's about, if I'm not mistaken, 70 seconds as Diaz finds the first kill for his team on a Swaylin, attempting to push into the site, and there's even gas canisters to double up. Slip will wade through it, but he's stuck. He'll get taken out, gassed out, and choked. Diaz a second kill on the Quartz, and it's all Kilo and Storms. They're stuck over towards Study and Skull, separated now as Diaz finds a third. It's just Kilo, barely any HP, and he'll fall to Beastly. Arial Arise with round number 4 as One Shot attempt to execute directly into the area denial.
Yeah, Arial Arise were ready for that. And I mean, more so, they had everything prepped and ready to go. You had the toxic canisters in the perfect place at the right time, denying that push in its entirety. Despite One Shot getting that opening frag, yet again, they couldn't really capitalize upon that. First, of course, it was Wimpy, who after his early aggressive play, jumping out the bore window, he retreated back to 90 Hall, where he was caught off guard by Quartz, who was rolling through 90 with the LMG in hand. But after that kill, One Shot, they decided to focus on the execute, shift their focus to simply getting that bomb down. And while I like that play, that's a great idea, setting up that objective play and getting that wall open into Study, it all just didn't get them much else other than map control, right? They didn't find the frags that it seemed like they were hoping for. And so when they eventually went for that execute, there were more than enough Arial Arise defenders with more than enough utility to use to shut that one down. But props to Arial for really remaining patient and passive on that bomb site, not giving One Shot any opportunities to get those frags that I just mentioned they were so desperately searching for here. And if Arial Arise continue this pattern, already jumping out to a 3-1 lead here on the Villa defense, they are putting themselves in a very good position right now.
I think something that really hurt One Shot too was the time, right? With Hibana pushing over towards Study so late, Ariel Arise were already focused on cutting off those 90 players with the Chonka, meaning all of them could focus their sights towards the Skull doorway. You saw how much utility and gunpowder was, you know, fighting back the creating members of One Shot into sight. But Trophy seems to be a fairly similar attack for One Shot. They're going to start clearing in from below. Ariel Arise does have a couple roamers on the other side of the map who could potentially go downstairs and, frag out Slip again. I remember Slip was the first kill thanks to Kento, who was playing in and around Bike. There is someone actually watching Bike this time, so, Quartz won't let Kento get his freebie. Kento's now on main stairs. But all in all, the initial clear from One Shot was not the issue in their previous trophy attack. It was the stall out and allowing the defenders to kind of retake that downstairs control. So as long as the air jabs and flank drones are set up, I imagine this round could go a lot smoother for the attack.
Agreed, and I also think it'll be important to focus on how they deal with Gomez on those Astro stairs yet again, right? As I mentioned, after that previous trophy attack, Storms ended up kind of solo pushing Astro and trying to take down Gomez by himself. Obviously, that didn't work, and nobody was there to play the trade, and so just in that split second, One Shot gave themselves a slight disadvantage. I'd like to see a little bit more cohesion this time around. That doesn't necessarily mean more patience, but still, taking your time before you make this push. Now, the nade coming up from Storm is actually going to miss the Electro Claw, meaning that this attack from One Shot, it could be in potentially a lot of jeopardy. Second nade will come up, finally dealing with that, so they will alleviate that problem, but Wimpy has a second. Did Kilo get that off in time is the question. No, he did not. Perfect timing from Wimpy with the Electro Claw trick. That means yet again, One Shot have to get aggressive. Quartz will do that, picking up the opener onto Diaz.
But the wall is still locked off. You saw Slip, I believe, used his nade on Astro. So there's nothing else to get rid of that. And Kento is left unchecked. He'll find one, but get refragged. But here's Gomez with another trade. 3 versus 3. The man count has been equalized. And One Shot no longer have the positional advantage with this wall staying closed. Kilo's attempting to flash over. Stunning Beastly as Sway pushes in through bricks. But the Maestro has the cover. Down goes one. Quartz with the trade. Kilo taken down. And it's just the Zoe pushing through Astro with the LMG, and he won't look the right way. Beastly from the other side of Astro Split gets the last kill, and that's Ariel Arise's 4th round.
A 4th round put on the shoulders of a beautiful Electro Claw. I mean, the beauty of Siege, and Harrison, I know we have this conversation every now and again, but you can romanticize about this game so much because it's the little things, just the smallest things that matters, right? That one gadget, that one primary gadget from the Kaid, the Electro Claw that, sat in Wimpy's pocket and he used at the perfect moment, which denied the opening in the wall, essentially won Ariel Arise that round. Because 2 players from One Shot then had to force their way into Statuary from the single door. They had to then challenge a Maestro from the same angle, and, well, we all know how that goes. He's got 81 bullets in that Alda. He's just has to hold left click, and he can decimate 2 attackers who are challenging him at the same time. The problem with that attack was their inability to get the Master Triple Wall open, and that is huge props to Ariel for exploiting that weakness and knowing exactly where to position and how to use that to the best of their advantage. Perfect all around from that defense, and One Shot, even though they tried to get rid of that Electro Claw, they tried to remedy those issues, they knew what their problem would be. They couldn't just get it done, and that's exactly why the attack failed.
Yeah, it was very, very well done by Wimpy, and then the rest of Ariel to hold on to that site. Especially, remember, we've been talking about Beastly and how, he's not as flashy of a player as DS or literally everyone else on his team. He's the guy, he's the rock, the solid support. He doesn't need to find frags because he plants, because he plays that smoke, opens the walls. But this game, this map right now, he's 5-2, and he has had some absolutely heroic rounds, especially that last one. Despite being nearly fully flashed, still completely denied that bricks entrance. And now One Shot, they're down 1-4. Now, they did win this dining attack, but remember, it was off the back of a painting rush, something that they're not going to be able to do again and will be looking to do again as they go upstairs using the proper clear. But every time they have tried for the proper clear, they've lost. Is that a sign of just how Arial Arise have been defending it? Or was the rush truly successful because it's a weaker site for the defense? One Shot are going to be hoping for the latter, because otherwise, Arial are going to have quite the advantage moving into the second half.
Yeah, you do not want to be down 5-1 in any map under any circumstances, but especially, shifting over to Villa defense, a map that has more and more been going, even split, that 3-3, 50-50 to the attacker side. It's going to be hard to make that comeback happen. But the uh-oh is right, because a C4 from Gomez is going to rain up through the floorboards and take down Quartz to 1 HP. Beastly will actually down him with an impact, but he should be able to be picked back on his feet. Kilo, at the same time, will pick up a nice frag onto Beastly, actually taking down the Maestro. One of these support players you'd really like to have for later, but thankfully for Arial Arise, they've still got Diaz in play. He will find his 8th kill in this map so far, and that will be onto Kilo, who was maybe a little bit prematurely pushed all the way up into Memo. He'll be taken down, and the man count will be neutralized. Now that Quartz is back on his feet, it'll be an even 4v4 as we cross that 1 minute mark. But now the question is for One Shot. They've got the vertical control, but that's only half the battle. You now have to transition into an execute, and you got to pick exactly where that push is going to come from. Right now, you've got Slippery situated over there in Pantry, but you've got several defenders who are situated as well in a perfect place to stop it. There's Diaz, a great headshot to continue this aerial advantage.
One-man advantage for Arial Arise. 4 versus 3. No more hard breachers, so the pantry wall will remain closed, as will Laundry. Quartz is also significantly hurt. 1 point of HP, pretty much, or 1 shot's worth, as Diaz now inside of painting, looking to cut off anyone moving through Memo. Quartz attempting to go through Laundry. He'll likely be stopped by Gomez, and there's Storms dying. 2 versus 4 now, with Sway and Quartz very separated. In comes the Zoe. She'll die, 2 for Swaylin, but is it going to be enough? No. Diaz will cap him, and it's a 3K for the Malusi, I believe, and Arial Arise end up with that 5-1 domineering half.
5-1 on Villa defense. Something that we may have said, when Villa was first added into the...
For your normal traditional attack, your top-down clear, your standard hard breaching, utility clear, all the normal stuff, Arial Arise took full advantage of that, just kept swinging One Shot. Again, it's kind of like how you play against IF. They just don't let One Shot get comfortable at all. Every time One Shot try to do something, somebody from Arial is either there to meet them or there to fight with their own utility, such as, that Master Wall play. So far, very well done by Arial. And One Shot, they've got to pull out all the stops on this map right now, because if they lose Villa here, I almost expect at this point a 2-0.
Yeah, I would not rule that out. By all means. I mean, going into Coastline, I mentioned it was another one of these, somewhat uncertain territories. But one, the fact that Arial Arise and just the play style and the frag potential that they have, combine that with the fact that, yes, they picked that map. Terrifying prospect for One Shot, to say the least. But they can still tidy things up here. It's not out of the woods yet. It's not out of the question yet, rather, that they are going to be able to pull this one off. 4 rounds is what they need to tie this one up. They don't need them all in a row, but if you don't take them all in a row, you're going to have to stare down match point, and that, again, is a terrifying prospect. They'll be starting things out with an Aviator in Games defense, a classic bomb site to begin with, a classic lineup mirroring what we saw from Arial Arise. We're not going to see the Maestro, but we will see both the Mute and the Smoke and the Aruni. So they're bringing both the projectile denial of these, of course, the ADSs from Slippery here, and those Surya gates from Quartz. Now, Arial, they're going to begin their clear as standards as any with these Rotero drones and with all of this utility, but more than that, they will begin with a great kill. Wimpy opening things up onto the main stairs. Player Slippery getting a little bit, maybe overextended, over-eager to take that gunfight, and he will pay the ultimate price. Kilo as well, narrowly hanging on to about 1 HP after a nade just almost finished him off from below.
That was a good double-headed push by Arial Arise, using the Flores drone to not only clear the ADSs, but also flush the Jaeger out of position, allowing for Wimpy to catch him. But Kento, now that there's a new player on main stairs, maybe not expecting Swaylin will be lit up to very low HP, but Gomez has the window angle, and down goes your smoke. You've lost a very important part of your defense very early. Kento's looking for more with the nade. He'll narrowly avoid damaging DS. Kilo was lit up by one of those nades earlier, but he will survive those explosives from below, at least for now. It's about a minute 20 left now. Arial Arise, they have plenty of time, plenty of manpower, and a 5v3 as they now ascend the stairs and set up for this execute.
Yeah, 3 players remaining on one shot. They're going to have to cover more angles than they would like. Kilo, the first player to take this engagement, but just going to be with that clone from Kento. So nothing to worry about just yet. But he is now going to have to stall out the remainder of this push with the only 3 remaining Shumikas he's got in that launcher of his. Now, Arial, with 50 seconds left and 5 players up in this fight, they have a lot of opportunities here. They can still take their time and drone out. They've got 7 drones to work with after all. They have no reason to rush this. Quartz will actually punish the first player to get a little bit overeager. That will be Gomez, first player to be taken down now, as Quartz attempts to regain this advantage, once again getting aggressive. He'll blind himself, or actually get blinded by the opponents here, and Kilo will get down for the count. Wimpy on the swing into games will claim another life. Quartz now trying to support his team. He's going to have to pull out a miracle because the other players have already been down on the site. And no, that's not going to be possible for him to do. Arial Arise move ahead to match point, continuing this streak, and one shot cannot even pull out their first defensive round.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Tachanka there, Wimpy decided to Chad push through the fire, eat the damage for the down, and it worked out. That clear on the main stairs from Arial Arise, with the exception of, Kento not expecting Swaylin to be there as well, was perfect. The combination of the Rotero drone and the cutoff from Wimpy, you have Gomez already set up on the window angle to catch Swaylin as he tries to back off. I mean, that's an early 2 picks, and Arial Arise just set up so well. Again, nothing from one shot to disrupt that process. The 90 control in the favor of the Flores 2. Everything went their way. And I mean, a 6-1 lead. This is, we've seen this before, and how many times do we see this actually go to OT? A lead like this is nearly insurmountable. I don't want to count one shot out, because they have come back from things like this. Remember the PB game? They were down, what, 5-1 or something on
Yeah,
Cafe?
5-1 Cafe, right? Yeah.
And they still came back. So one shot could turn something around here, but we are going to need a complete 180, opposite end of the spectrum kind of play from them. Otherwise, Arial Arise so far have been cutting through them.
And Harrison, frankly, One Shot have not even shown us a glimmer of what a comeback would look like, right? I mean, even on their attack, we highlighted already that their one round was a rush. They have not shown us that they are comfortable on Villa and playing it, like it's supposed to be played, to use that old adage. But this is a troubling start for them. There is no question. And even if they don't bring this back all the way, this is something I always like to mention when you have such a deficit like this. It'd be really nice just to get a few rounds under your belt, remind yourself what it feels like to win a couple of rounds, get that energy back, because going into the next map, you do not want the momentum to still be in the hands of Arial Arise. Our analyst has highlighted that One Shot, they're a very momentum-based team. We've had some momentum-based games with both of these teams involved. And if that's what we're seeing right now, troubling consequences for One Shot, no question about it. Now, they'll be attempting to remedy all of their problems here, hoping that kitchen and dining is the site for them. But already, Arial Arise, they are looking to get something going, maybe a little bit quickly here. Thankfully for One Shot, you still have Storms, you still have that heartbeat sensor, so he'll be able to get an eye on any sort of early push before it happens.
Yeah, so he is spotting out quite a few players. He sees one outside of Laundry, one upstairs on the Master Bulk, and 2 over towards the basement. Arial, at least one of those players will get the hell out of there. Probably now that Storms has, called that out. Maybe they droned out the pulse. And they're like, hey, they know we're here. Let's do something different. Kento, though, will end up just expending a Gone 6. Not pushing up past that. It's a little bit slow from Arial Arise so far. They have a lot of good intel. Not a lot of control to show for it. Slippery is downstairs. I'm not quite sure if Kento is aware, of course, thanks to it being a vigil. It seems as if he knows something is up. And Slippery is playing very passive for now. The more passive he plays, the more time it will waste for Arial, as now it's two players distracted by the Vigil. Another drone will come in, but I don't know if it saw Slippery. The drone didn't double back. Of course, he's got the scanner activated. I think he did it in time. And for now, Ariel aren't quite sure where this Vigil is. He could be a potential headache later into the round if he catches Kento off guard. And Ariel Arise, they can't stall out any longer. They need to get a move on, especially as Quartz finds the opening pick onto Wimpy. The sledge now dead. If he was gonna play Vert, well, yeah, he'll have no hope to now. And Gomez can't even move through the pantry wall. He'll have to force himself through the doorway with Kento aiding him as Diaz gets taken out by Kilo, a cap can pick that we didn't even talk about yet. No traps will be hit though. Gomez finds one before being traded, but here's the flank from Slip, catching not only Beastly looking for the second, but it's Quartz and Laundry instead. And one shot take round 8 is Ariel just kind of sit there and do nothing for most of the round.
Yeah, strong defense from one shot. There's no question about that. But Arial Arise, they seemed a little bit frozen in place. They made really good progress early. Tremendous progress early. Something that we highlighted with the Arial Arise attacks yesterday is they were really good at getting in the building and making a statement at the beginning of the round. But what happens in the mid-round, especially when things are so uncertain, is that Arial Arise, they can let the time get away from them a little bit, and they can be a little bit too, we'll call it passive, with how they move around the map. Especially if you take a look at that engagement, trying to track down the Vigil in the basement, that was as passive as an attacking team could ever get. Yes, they were aware, or at least suspicious of his position, constantly sending drones downrange. What they never did was try to actively go for that clear. Instead, they wasted about 45 to 60 seconds just standing on the staircase and droning him out. Obviously, you want to cover all your bases. You want to play as smart and as disciplined as you can, but there comes a point, there comes a line where that discipline and that methodical approach becomes too slow and lethargic, and Arial Arise fell victim to exactly that. One shot, they were in the right place at the right time to take advantage of that. We saw Pulse with the heartbeat sensor, enabling them to get an opening C4 kill onto Wimpy, who was just not quite moving enough around upstairs. But when it came down to it, and that execute, Arial Arise waited so long that One Shot knew exactly where they were coming from and exactly what they had to do to shut it down. For Arial to continue this attacking success, we're going to have to see them speed things up just a little bit.
And of course, that is only one round, so I'm sure Arial Arise aren't even that worried about it. They've still got a buffer of 4. Now they've got to attack onto AVG, which they have already done successfully before. Once again, of course, there is a main stairs hold. I believe that will probably be the Jaeger of Slip there. If he sees a Flores drone, he'll probably push up the stairs rather than down like he did last time. The clear from Arial being very similar. Yep, you've already got Kento and Dia set up outside the main door. I'm not quite sure where Wimpy came from. Oh, okay. It was from Art. Worried about the floor holes. He'll tuck himself in a corner, and he'll wait for the Flores drone in order to clear main, and here it comes. Diaz will hop on his little RC car. Up the stairs it goes. Will it catch Slippery? There's the drone, and he will get damaged, but escape with his life. So already a better start for One Shot.
Yeah, not losing Slippery on that entry duel, at least so far, has been a blessing, because he will still be able to hold down main stairs, and he'll still be able to stall out any aerial push from below. The fact that Kilo is also at 100 HP right now, has not been damaged from a nade, will also pay dividends later on when he tries to lock down that push and use that Shumika launcher to its best ability. But as I say that, may have cursed Slippery a little bit there. He will, in fact, be that opening death, but this time by nade rather than by Wimpy's hand. A great toss from Kento will open things up for this attack, and Storms and Quartz are looking to get aggressive and go for this retake. It works the first time. Quartz will get that fatal blow onto Kento, but still some work left to do. In fact, One Shot, feeling that they've accomplished said retake on the bottom floor, will now rotate back up the red stairs and head back to the objective. But Quartz is not done yet. He's still swinging. He's still playing aggressive, and he wants to contest these Arial Arise attackers head on.
I love that from One Shot, identifying the hole in Ariel's attack as Arial, once again, they clear main stairs, and then they separate, leaving Kento below, and it was pretty much a triple pinch there from One Shot to do him in. Now staring down a shield on top of Maps. Mute not going to get caught. Storms gets away, and the shield will persist. They've only got 3 of those fires from Kilo left, but there's 3 gas canisters on Swalen. That'll delay about 30 seconds. Orts will get flashed in 90 and he'll back off. Here's the push in. He'll be down from behind the shield by Gomez, pushing through the smoke. C4 goes out. It will not land. The wall is now open thanks to the Zofia, and Arial Rise have the walk-in on site that they were looking for. In comes the Hibana. He wins his fight on the Tachanka. Diaz, another one inside of 90. It's a 2v4. One-shotter losing bodies. Behind the bar is Swaylin alone, but now he's got to fight against 3 different players. Gomez hops the bar, finishes him. Diaz gets the last, and it's a 7-2 win on One Shot's own map pick for Arial.
A dominant 7-2 win, to say the least. In those final few rounds, it looked like maybe One Shot was starting to figure out how to run their defensive strategies, right? I mean, of course, getting that defensive round win, and in the round prior, and on AVG, the one that, of course, ended our map here, it seemed that they had a better plan coming